Good evening from snow-covered Calgary. We begin tonight with the economic storm clouds hanging over this province. Alberta's economy is built on oil and gas, and with that cash, it's become the economic engine of Canada. Now, that is in jeopardy. That's because Alberta oil is selling at a deep discount. So deep, at least $40 million a day is being lost. That means less taxes and royalties, as much as $11 billion less for Alberta and Ottawa this year. Our coverage tonight begins with Francis Silvaggio and how the oil game here has changed. Francis.
Well, Alberta heads into this week's provincial budget under some fairly dire warnings. Resource revenue is expected to be down about $2.5 billion from original projections, which leads the province on the path towards a deficit somewhere between $3.5 and $4 billion. Now, this is a pretty big deal for a province that was basically seen as the economic envy of the entire country, which is likely why not many people will be shedding tears from coast to coast about Alberta's economic woes. But it's important to point out that Alberta's oil and gas success or failure is not just an Alberta problem, but affects every single Canadian.
Every time this massive truck dumps a load of oil-infused sand into the hopper, another 325 barrels of bitumen is produced. It's a lot of sand, a lot of oil, and potentially a lot of money.
$2.1 trillion over the next 25 years driven by this industry. So when you break that down, you'd say, gee, that's about $84 billion a year of economic value.
Last year, Suncor alone spent $10 billion with nearly 8,000 companies, not just in Alberta, but across the entire country, including $160 million in Ontario and another $90 million in Quebec and BC.
Whether you're a supplier of small nuts and bolts or you're the person who's going to weld together a truck body, people across the country are employed by Fort McMurray and what's going on in the oil sands.
Currently, more than 500,000 people are employed either directly or indirectly by the industry, and governments have been accustomed to receiving in the neighborhood of $21 billion in annual royalties and taxes. But increased competition and limited access to world markets has started to take a big bite out of that.
Over 10 up to $11 billion in royalties and taxes being forfeited, being left on the table. It's a pretty significant chunk of money.
With few other $100 billion a year industries lining up to replace Canada's resource sector, industry and government officials are sounding the alarm before it's too late.
It's a rallying cry for us as Canadians to get behind this and maximize the value of this resource so that we all benefit.
Now, there are other contributing factors to Alberta's current economic situation, but oil and gas remains to be a big challenge, and there's a lot of experts that are hoping that this so-called crisis is going to create an opportunity to start talking about the future of this industry and hopefully find a way to do things differently, especially faced with a number of the challenges that lie ahead in the months and years ahead.
All right, Francis Silvaggio, thanks so much.